Welcome back to the channel. We are announcing a new edition of one of Scott's Emporiums, the Lincoln Emporium. It's a 2011 Lincoln MKT, and the reason I bought a parts car was I needed the front end. A used front end was about $2,500, and that was with the 3.5 engine. The car I'm rebuilding has a 3.7. I need some engine parts, and the cooling and some wiring harnesses are different from the 3.5 to 3.7 front ends. So it made sense to buy this entire car for a third of the price. I still had to pay shipping and get it up here and everything else, but it ended up being a lot cheaper to buy an entire car to use my front end and get a lot of extra little bonus parts than it would be to just buy a used front end. So, well, I don't know if we're going to have a Lincoln Emporium or if I'm just going to junk this thing when I'm done, but it did have a clear title. It was a repossession. It has like 250,000 miles on it. It was listed as a run but not drive, and turns out when they repoed it, they disconnected the linkage, and that was all that was wrong with it. So it runs and it drives, but now it's gonna die. The first thing we're going to do is get our hood out of the way. So we'll disconnect the washer line from the cowl screen and then disconnect the washer line from itself. Twist it apart, pull the hose off, and tuck it up in the hood so it's not getting snagged on anything as we're trying to carry it around. And we'll pop off the lift struts, the pick in there, and pull that collar back a little bit. You don't have to pull all the way out of there. And pop them off. Both of them are no good, so we had a prop rod holding our hood up anyway. We can unbolt our hood. This is not the original hood the car was built with. It is an original Ford hood. It was just replaced at one point. It has the replacement sticker on it. Looks like this thing might have been hit real light in the front end, and for some reason they changed the hood and the left headlight. Take our prop rod out of there. We'll go set our hood on a stand, get ready to strip it all down. We'll pull all the Christmas trees out of our hood liner so we can get it out of our way. There's a rubber baby buggy bumper. And we'll set everything on top of the liner, except for that one Christmas tree. Made a run for it. Disconnect our washer lines, which are already broken off our washer nozzles. We'll pull the hoses off. This nozzle is broken, and that's probably why. Plastic just crumbles. It's like dust. Guess we don't have to be too careful taking these nozzles out since they're already broken. We'll pull the weather stripping off the front, and we're going to use the pry and pray method. We're probably going to break every single clip, but if we waste our time trying to save them, we're still going to break them. Every piece of plastic on this thing is really brittle, so we're just going to have to get new clips. Pull the weather stripping over the lights off. Another rubber baby buggy bumper. And we'll go set all that in the car. We're going to start pulling our front bumper off with the little push-in clips with Phillips heads. So we'll unscrew those. We'll just pull up on the bumper a little bit to get those clips out. One wants to stay in there. We can unbolt the top of the bumper, and we can unbolt our bumper from our wheel liner. I think our Lincoln's having an identity crisis. It's the all-new Toyota MKT. We're going to unbolt our fender liner from this side of the bumper. Let it wiggle and pull. Get that bumper out of the clips on the fender. And there's one more bolt on the bottom of this wheel liner. And our bumper's on the floor. We'll disconnect our fog light wires. Could have done that before, but didn't want to climb under. We can pull our headlight off. Yeah, that's probably factory, right? Our headlights are a little cloudy. They're going to need a little bit of polishing. I'll probably put the headlights back in the car and then do it, just to drive the experts nuts. Now we'll disconnect the plug from the back of the light, which is broken. Not sure if it's from the last accident or from Ford's use of cheap plastic. I guess all the glue to hold the fenders on put them over budget, so they had to skimp on the plastic. So this is what we deal with on this build. Now we can pull our other headlight out and hopefully save that plug because we're going to need it for our build. We'll pull our tire off of here. This side of the car is a Lincoln. We'll pop our fender liner out, and there's the push pins with the Phillips head, so we'll unscrew those. Hope for the best. A couple Christmas trees, we'll pop those out of there. And we'll pull the molding off the bottom of the back of the fender. Pop it out of its clips. And pull our liner out of here. We can unbolt the front of our fender from the bracket. And we'll unbolt the back of the fender inside all that foam. And the bottom. And we'll unbolt the top. We're going to leave one bolt in there partially, so it's holding it from falling on the floor. Now we're going to clean out this mess. And you wonder why the bottoms of these fenders rot out. They use GM's design to hold all the leaves in there and moisture and dirt to rot it from the inside. Way to go, guys. I'm going to clean this mess out of here so we can see the rest of our foam down here. A lot of dirt in there. We'll unbolt the top of our fender. One more from the back inside the door. Now we have a little bit of welding wire. We're just going to stick it in through the foam. Get it out the other side. You don't want to use windshield wire. You can actually cut through a lot of stuff. Welding wire goes right through the foam and pretty much nothing else. We'll just work it back and forth like we were taking out a windshield. That way we'll be able to just pull the fender off and we won't bend it. There's a little bit at the top I didn't get, but it's not going to bend the fender, so. I'm going to take that last bolt that we left half in there, out of there, and our fender should be free. Well, not free. I did pay for it. It'll be separate from the car. We'll unbolt our bumper bracket, pop the clips out of it. Gotta get it out of the way so we can edge it off. Then we'll pop the little clip out. Pull the emblem off. It's two-sided taped around the edges, and it's got a couple clips on the back, actually 4 of them, that snap it in there. I think either method would have held that emblem in there, but Ford went with bolt. They really wanted to make sure that was in there. We'll unbolt our hinge and hinge bracket. And on this side, we're going to take our hinge off the bracket because I don't feel like pulling the fender off, so we're going to be creative. I'm definitely not taking the fender off of our build, so I want to see if I can do it. We'll start unbolting that bracket on the bottom. And we're going to use a ratcheting wrench to get to the bolts that are underneath the fender. Our bracket on our other car is all twisted up, so we do have to replace it. One more bolt back there. This is the hard to get to one. It's kind of behind the bracket for the fender. And we can slide it out of there. And we'll start pulling off some of the mechanical stuff we're going to need. Loosen up the air tube. Pull out our breather hoses. Disconnect our mass airflow sensor. And we'll pull the top half of this out of here. That's what that pile of plastic I was pulling out of the last car was supposed to look like. And bolt the bottom of the air box and lift that out of there. And we're going to need all this stuff. Disconnect our hood latch. There's a cable on one side that goes to the safety release. We'll disconnect that. I guess I could have pulled the safety handle off with it, but I chose this method. We'll unbolt the latch, make it a little easier to get to our hood cable. We are going to need this hood cable because our original one was broken. So I'm going to have to fish that out of there. We'll leave that for later. That's not a job I'm looking forward to. We'll pull our air temperature sensor off the front. We're also going to need this. Our other one was destroyed. We're just trying to get it off of the radiator support. Disconnect our radiator hoses. Yay, spring clamps. Just our hoses off of there. Try not to make a mess. Hey, where's the coolant? We'll pop our wiring harness off of here. Got 2 clips that would survive. Then we can disconnect our cooling fan. Disconnect the AC pressure sensor. And we're going to disconnect our trans cooler lines. Yay, more spring clamps. And these lines have those barbs on there that do not want to let go. So we'll get a little bit of a struggle. Get the baffle out of here. We get caught when we try to lift up our radiator support. We're going to leave the power steering cooler attached to the radiator support, so we're just going to disconnect the lines and drain them into a drain pan. And unbolt the bottom of the radiator support. Go to the other side. We're going to need the bracket that these go into. We'll take that off in a minute. We got to get this stuff out of our way first. We can disconnect our hose from our overflow bottle, expansion tank, whatever the experts want to call it. Still no coolant. Where could it be? Disconnect our AC lines. The AC machine was pulling it down. It did have a full charge in it. I can disconnect the top of our radiator support. And if the radiator was actually in it like it was supposed to be, it would lift right out of there. It's kind of flopping around in there. Turns out that's what those zip ties were for. There's a couple little brackets on the top of the radiator that they had broken. I did get a new radiator as a bonus. Oh, there's a little bit of coolant. Actually water. Put this down and hopefully not make a mess. Put our oil cap off and our engine cover. Now we got to look at the engine. Disconnect our breather tube. We're going to need that. Unbolt all of our coils. We're going to need a few of those. We're also going to need a couple plugs. Pop all of our plugs off of there. And then twist all of our coils out. A couple new coils. Pull the wiring harness off the valve cover. And pull the dipstick. I think I found the coolant. And unbolt our lifting eye for the engine. We're going to need that, our other one's all bent. We can start unbolting our valve cover. That's what we're really after here. Our car also needs the DVT solenoid, but I'm not going to use the used one, so we're going to leave that in the car. We can wiggle our valve cover out of here. Not a lot of room to maneuver around this wiring harness. It's pretty brittle and doesn't want to give. Oh, there's our coolant. It's like somebody put a milkshake in there. Looks like salted caramel. Doesn't taste like it though. Now we're going to need our seatbelt parts. So So we're going to unbolt our retractor from the seat. We're going to unbolt the seat assembly. Seat back. So we can get the bolts on the front. Unbolt those. We need the buckle assembly. It's a lot easier to take the seat out than it is to try and get it out with the seat in the car. Now we can unbolt our buckle assembly. We'll pull the B-pillar trim down. Pop it out of the clips. Pop the sill plate out of it. It's actually under the sill plate. Get the front sill plate off of it. And our trim is out. We'll toss that in our developing pile in the back of the car. And now we can see our retractor. We'll unplug the electrical connectors. We're just going to use our trim clip pliers. They're multifunction. In addition to trim clips and push pins, use of a hammer, they're also good for taking electrical connectors apart. Now we can unbolt our seatbelt from the top of the B-pillar, and our retractor assembly is out, ready to go. Another bonus I got when buying this thing. So now we're going to pull all of our little brackets off that are welded on. I already drilled the 1/8" holes, so now I can drill the 5/16 holes. I believe actually a couple of these were 3/8. They were pretty big, 10 millimeters. Give the bracket a little tap, see if we can break a few loose. And our front broke loose. So we'll hammer our scraper in there. Give a few that are still hanging on. And our bracket's free. And we got the middle fender bracket. Drill these out. We can go all the way through with these. And the back of the bracket pops right off. Got those dead center. That doesn't happen very often. Give it a little wiggle, but not too much. We don't want to bend it. And we can pop our bracket out of here and send it across the shop. And we'll pull this bracket off the front. This holds the fender on and the radiator support. Some of these we couldn't drill all the way through. Others we had to. There's a bunch of sandwiched pieces in there. So you had to be careful what I was drilling and what I wasn't. Use our scraper to knock it loose. A little bit of wiggle and pull. Can't get my scraper into the center, so I'm just wiggling it out. Well, other than a few connectors that I'm going to have to change on here, I think I have everything I need off of this thing. So, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys when it's time to put all this stuff back on the other car. Just because your Lincoln identifies as a Toyota doesn't make it reliable. I don't ever slow up, no, I don't